Welcome to another RaiderPower.com mailbag. I am Jarret Johnson. I'm joined once again with senior writer Joe Yeager. Joe, how you doing today?
Well, hanging in there pretty good. How you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm ready to dive into these questions. Man, they're getting tougher.
Yeah,
it seems like every week. Let's think about maybe making us work for this.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with TTU Gunslinger 84. Basically has a question about the 2014 signees, who's going to be here this summer and when. As far as I know, everyone is qualified. There's always somebody who pops up, and we won't know until, report time, which is for almost all of the high school 2014 signees, June 1st. So we've talked with, especially Philip, one of our writers has spoken with several of the 2014 signees since signing day, and almost all of them are due to report on June 1st. All right, Joe, here's one for you. Border Boy 26 wants to know from all the defensive backs, and you wrote a really good story right after signing day about this class being possibly a program changer. What DBs do you think though will probably redshirt, and who do you see playing?
Well, I mean, I think one pretty good indicator is to look at Josh Keys.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's a guy who came in and was definitely one of the better looking DB recruits in this class, a JUCO guy, so presumably a little bit more advanced than most of them.
Yeah.
And I think he began to show a little bit of stuff there towards the end of spring in the red-black game. I thought he looked pretty good, but he's still not on the two deep. Right. Again, now take that depth chart, maybe with a little bit of a grain of salt there, but still, I think that's an indication of just how hard it can be for a guy to come in, and even if he's very good, and make an immediate impact at this level. Yeah. So, I mean, when I look at this, and I think this is an excellent DB class, but out of all those guys, I think the one guy that I would really expect to come in and at least maybe get on the field this year, and not just in special teams, but in regular defensive play, is Peyton Hendricks.
Yeah.
The safety. I mean, I think that guy is, at one point or another, he's going to be a special player. And I mean, that's my main guy. That's the one I'm looking at. The rest of these guys, maybe a couple of them will get in on special teams, but I think probably a lot of them redshirt too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on Hendricks. That guy's a special talent. He's one of the highest rated guys by Scout.com of the class. 4-star safety out of Bishop Dunn. But Tech has a lot of questions at corner. I mean, who would you say is the second or third corner right now coming out of spring? I mean, really. So there's a guy, I think, and as you pointed out, it's hard for even the most talented guys to just come in and immediately earn one of those starting spots. I think it has to be the right circumstance, but also takes a certain mindset, a different kind of dude. And I think one of those guys from that class might be Nigel Bethel. I spoke with him recently. He's a track guy, has the speed. He was like a 3 or 4 year starter at one of the top programs, Booker T. Washington in Miami, Florida. So he was even though he's only 5'9", he was a 3 year starter for sure on a national championship team. So he's a guy who has seen very high level of competition, and I think could come in and compete for maybe even the second corner, but probably the third or fourth corner where he's playing in nickel situations. This one's from Rawls Landman. Okay. This is a great question. He wants us to basically predict the Big 12, the final standings of the Big 12 for 2014. Joe, I'm going to let you start off with this one.
Okay, now we're omitting Texas Tech.
I don't see how we can omit Texas Tech. Rawls, we're going to include Tech. We can't. How can we leave Tech out? We're going to include Tech.
Thanks for being understanding, Rawls. Okay, let's do reverse order so to really add to the suspense, okay? Number 10, Dana Holgerson is in trouble.
Wow.
West Virginia at number 10. I'm afraid it's curtains for old Dana after this year, I'm afraid. Wow. No, I like the guy.
Yeah.
Number 9, Kansas. No big shock there, I don't suppose, although maybe everybody's got him for number 10. Number 8, Iowa State. Pretty typical for them, but still not an easy out for anybody.
Nope.
A good,
especially
tough,
there.
Good, tough ball club. Yep, and that's where Tech goes. 7, TCU, but I think possibly that TCU, it wouldn't surprise me if they jumped up and did a little bit better than that. I think that they're going to begin. I think last year was a little bit of an aberration, and I think they're going to be a pretty good team this year. 6, I think Oklahoma State took some hits, real hits, and I think they're going to drop quite a bit this year. But even when Oklahoma State drops, they're still pretty stout. Number 6 in a really bad year for your program is nothing to be ashamed of. And so I've got Oklahoma State there at number 6. Number 5, I think Baylor is going to slip again a little bit like Oklahoma State, and that's where I've got the Bears at number 5. 4, UT. They're a little bit hard to predict because you've got a brand new coach in, but the talent is there, especially on defense.
Is it?
Well, I mean,
is it?
Yeah, I really do on defense. I think they've got a bunch of guys that can really play, and they've got depth. Offensively, David Ash, what is he? He's an experienced guy, but other than that, not terribly impressive. But and Strong is a defensive guy as well. With those guys, I think he can get them to play. I've got Tech at number 3, and I think Tech could finish anywhere from 3 to 7.
Yeah.
And I think you could throw a blanket all over all those teams in the 3 to 7 range there. But Tech at number 3. Number 2, Kansas State, and OU on number 1. I don't guess that surprises anybody.
No, it doesn't. We have some. I'm surprised we disagree a little bit. You and I never disagree. Yeah. I have KU at the bottom. I mean, they're KU. It's football. We're talking about football, and it's Kansas, so they're 10. Iowa State, same reason. Iowa State's just better than Kansas. I have them 9. I have TCU 8. They have some talent there, but the depth isn't there still. So I think later in the year they might get beat up some, and I don't know what they're doing on offense. They still haven't figured. I know they brought in obviously Cumbie. They brought in some new coaches, and they have some new talent there. But they're probably going to start. They're definitely going to start a new quarterback unless it's Boykin, and if it's Boykin, then we already know their offense isn't going to be all that great because he hasn't proven to be a very good quarterback, effective slot player, but not quarterback. West Virginia, I don't think they're going to be good, but I think they're going to be better than the 3 teams that I mentioned. I don't have them being the bottom. If they're the bottom of the Big 12, Holgorsen won't make the season. No, he won't last the season. But there's not a whole lot there. They have a very good 2015 class, so there's potentially committed so far. So if he can hang around, they could be good again. I have Oklahoma State dropping 2 like you, just because high turnover. Next for me, I have Texas, just because you don't have a quarterback. A quarterback in the Big 12, you're not going to win a lot. I mean, you look at Texas last year, they had some pretty good talent, but didn't have a quarterback. They have some young guys in there, but they're probably not ready to come in and just light up the Big 12. Then I have Tech. I have Tech at 4, just because a lot of the talent that Tech has is either some of the older guys or too young, not quite there yet. I think it's going to take Kingsbury and crew at least one more year to really challenge for the throne, though, and make a run at a Big 12 crown. I have K-State, always solid under Coach Snyder. I have them 3rd. I think they actually return a lot of guys. They've lost some key guys, but they return a lot of starters, and they'll be well coached. I have Baylor 2nd. I don't have them dropping as far as you. I know they lost a lot on defense, but they're bringing back the quarterback. They're bringing back some playmakers. So I think they'll be very good in an average Big 12. And then I have Oklahoma, who to me, talent-wise, especially if Travis Knight holds up and plays anything like he did in the Sugar Bowl, to me, they're head and shoulders the best team in the Big 12. All right, next question. We got a basketball question from Motor City Titans fan. We've actually had a question like this before, but it's a great question, so I wanted to answer it again, and I want to get your answer on it, Joe. Who do you see taking up leadership from this squad, this basketball squad, with Jay Crockett and all the seniors that are leaving, all the players that are leaving?
Yeah, as far as the returning guys go, I mean, the guy to me that has the most potential in that area is Robert Turner. For one reason, he's a point guard, and you need a leader at point guard, and he's got, he's kind of up and down in that area of his game. When things are going well, he's vocal and he's enthusiastic and patting guys on the back and everything. But when things start going rough, he kind of gets pooches his lip out a little bit. And so he's got to be a little bit more consistent and be a little bit tougher in that area. But I do think he's a guy who has some leadership ability. But the main guy that I would look at is actually a guy coming in, Justin Jameson, who's 23 years old. He's got experience in minor league baseball. He's just been through all sorts of stuff in his life, and everything I hear about him is that he's really a mature, intelligent guy, well-spoken. Everybody respects him, coaches respect him, and I think he'll command a lot of respect from his players as well, the guys he plays with. So that's who I look at, Turner and Jameson, most likely.
Old Texan 1953 wants to know who, and this is a common question we get on the site all the time. I know it's a great worry. I understand why, a big worry for everyone. But who do we think is going to return punts and kickoffs in 2014?
Yeah, I've got, and it's an extremely good question, because we had a lot of issues from the 3 public scrimmages that we saw, guys just not even being able to feel the punt,
you know? Yeah.
I mean, come on, that's the most basic thing. So that's a concern. You know, in the red-black scrimmage, I believe it was Devin Lauderdale who was back there, who was actually fielding everything cleanly and looked pretty good. So, I mean, just based on glimpses like that, I'm going with Lauderdale. And Jordan Davis was a guy who returned punts last year and was pretty good at it. But he's had some problems.
You think so?
In the spring.
Yeah, I don't.
He wasn't Tyrone Thurman or anything.
No, I mean, he had problems fielding the ball last year.
Well, some, but I mean, basically, he's the guy who's coming back, who has experience doing it. If we have a starter returning at punt returner, it's Jordan Davis. So he's got to be in the conversation anyway. But I mean, out of those 2 guys, unless they've got somebody coming in with this class, that's who I'm looking at punt return. Kick return, you know, both of the guys that did most of the damage last year are coming back. That's Reggie Davis and Jakeem Grant. And I'm still waiting for Jakeem to really put it all together and just be an incredible weapon, because he looks so dangerous with the ball in his hand. I want to see him returning kicks for sure. And those 2 guys are probably going to be who you're looking at.
I agree with you 100% on the kickoffs. I think it's going to be Reggie Davis and Jakeem. And though I think, in my opinion, the only time you'll see where it's not those 2 guys is if for health concerns, health where they're nicked up or whatever, something to that effect.
And you might see Marquez back there.
Right, Marquez, and you mentioned some of the guys coming in, just a dangerous punt returner, and Ian Sadler. Anybody who watched the state championship game for Argyle, he returned a punt for a touchdown. I saw him in a couple other games in person last year return punts, or at least one game where he returned a punt for a touchdown. He is a dangerous punt returner, and I think that you could go ahead and pencil him in as the guy, unless he just has a meltdown or so. I honestly can't conceive of. Unless they redshirt him, which I don't get that. I don't see that happening either. I really expect him to return a majority of the punts next year, just because he's that good. He immediately comes in and is probably the best. And there's some other guys. Cameron Batson is very dangerous. Another guy they got from Oklahoma, Oklahoma City Millwood, just a nasty punt returner. And Deshaun Johnson was a all-state kick returner as a junior. And he's a great punt returner as well. So they have several guys coming in that can return kicks and punts for them.